Today, we're exploring a quest many of us embark on daily. Finding sustained energy, razor sharp focus, and, just a feeling of calm. We're looking for a smarter alternative to those morning rituals that sometimes leave us feeling a bit, well, frazzled. So here's a direct question for you. What if you could experience all the upsides of your morning ritual, that invigorating kick, that mental clarity without any of the downsides, like jitters, the inevitable crash, or maybe an upset stomach? It might sound too good to be true, but we're here to unpack why it's really not.
You're absolutely right. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the fascinating, ancient, yet surprisingly modern world of adaptogenic mushrooms and mushroom coffee. And let's be really clear from the start.
Oh.
We are not talking about magic mushrooms or anything hallucinogenic, not at all. Our focus is entirely on what are known as functional mushrooms. These are incredible fungi that have been, well, revered and utilized for centuries across various cultures, specifically for their profound health benefits.
Okay, functional mushrooms. Got it.
Yeah. So our mission in this deep dive is to thoroughly explain everything you need to know about these amazing adaptogenic mushrooms, how they truly work within your body, their specific unique benefits, the clever synergy of why they're now being paired with coffee, and crucially, what vital factors to look for when choosing high-quality products.
Huh.
By the end of this deep dive, you'll have a clear, easy-to-understand shortcut to being truly well-informed on this trending topic, armed with surprising facts and actionable insights, even if you're a complete beginner starting from, zero.
Right. So let's begin with what most of us picture when we hear mushroom. You likely imagine that familiar cap and stem, perhaps sitting on a pizza, or the white button mushrooms you pick up at the grocery store. But here's a mind-bending idea. That visible mushroom, the part you actually see and consume, is really just the fruit of a much, much larger, intricate, and mostly hidden organism. It's like looking at an apple and thinking that's the entire apple tree. It's just a tiny fraction of the whole fascinating picture.
That's a perfect analogy, a really good one. The true body of the fungus, its vast and intelligent foundation, is called mycelium. Imagine it as the sophisticated root system of a plant, but honestly far more complex, intelligent, and interconnected. If we extend your apple tree comparison, the mushroom you see above ground is simply the apple itself, the reproductive part. But the mycelium, that's the entire sprawling apple tree beneath the soil, its roots, its trunk, its vast network of branches, all hidden and extending far and wide.
Wow. Okay, so it's this huge network underground.
Exactly. This mycelial network is truly astounding. It's a living, intricate, underground web that exists unseen beneath our feet globally, connecting ecosystems in ways we are only just beginning to comprehend. It's essentially, you could argue, the planet's fundamental intelligence network. It's everywhere. And what's even more remarkable is the ancient history of these fungi. They are incredible, ancient survivors, having emerged on Earth approximately 2.4 billion years ago.
2.4 billion. That's staggering.
It really is. To give you some perspective, our planet is roughly 4.5 billion years old. So fungi were here long, long before humans, before even plants really took hold on land in the way we think of them now. They adapted to dry land by quite literally eating rocks in their early evolutionary stages, showcasing their unparalleled resilience and foundational role in shaping life on Earth as we know it. They're survivors.
And this next fact might genuinely surprise you. There's strong evidence that we humans are actually more closely related to fungi than we are to plants. Can you elaborate on that? Because that sounds, well, weird.
It does sound weird at first, but it's a truly fascinating connection. Our biological similarities with fungi are surprisingly deep. For example, both humans and fungi breathe oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide, unlike plants which, do the opposite with photosynthesis. Even more remarkably, we share common diseases with fungi, much like we do with other mammals. But perhaps the most crucial similarity, the real clincher, is that our bodies possess specific receptors. Think of them as biological docking stations that are perfectly designed to interact with and utilize unique compounds that fungi produce.
Okay, so our bodies are kind of pre-programmed to recognize mushroom compounds.
In a way, yes. These are compounds our own bodies simply cannot make. This isn't mere coincidence. It strongly suggests a deep coevolutionary story where humans and fungi have influenced each other's development over millennia. We grew up together, biologically speaking. Now, when humans and fungi diverged on their evolutionary paths, a key difference emerged in how our immune systems developed. Humans, we evolved a more physical, cellular-based immune system, essentially building stronger cell walls to prevent viruses from entering and hijacking our cells. like building better walls around the city. Fungi, on the other hand, develops a sophisticated chemical-based immune system. These unique chemicals they produce are precisely what strengthen their own cell walls or trigger their internal immune responses, protecting them from threats in their environment. Think of it as chemical warfare on a tiny scale.
So how does this evolutionary divergence and the fungi's chemical immune system translate into practical benefits for us? What does that mean for our health?
It means certain mushrooms can truly be thought of as nature's own little pharmaceutical companies, constantly brewing beneficial chemicals that our bodies are not only ready to receive, but seem almost designed to interact with. These unique chemical compounds are precisely what we can now harness for our own well-being. However, there's another crucial biological fact to understand about mushrooms. They have a unique cellular building block called chitin,
Keton. Okay, what's that?
the tough, fibrous substance that makes up their cell walls. To give you a clear analogy, imagine trying to eat the hard, rigid shell of a lobster or a shrimp. That's chitin. Our bodies simply lack the specific enzymes required to properly digest it and access all the incredible goodness contained within the mushroom cells.
So that's why you can't just munch on raw mushrooms and expect all these benefits.
Exactly right. This is why it's absolutely crucial that functional mushrooms are properly processed or cooked, often through advanced extraction methods like hot water or dual extraction, using both hot water and alcohol. This process breaks down that tough chitin, making all those valuable beneficial compounds bioavailable.
Bioavailable, meaning our body can actually absorb and use them.
Precisely. It unlocks the door, so to speak. Just eating raw functional mushrooms won't give you these powerful effects because the good stuff is locked behind that chitin wall. Extraction is key.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Let's switch gears a bit. Let's talk about a big buzzword in the wellness world. Adaptogen. It's a term we hear frequently, but honestly can sound kind of vague. What does it truly mean when something is called an adaptogen? And, how does it differ from something like caffeine, a stimulant?
That's a great question because the true meaning of adaptogen is often misunderstood or used too loosely. In simple terms, an adaptogen is a special type of substance, usually a plant or a mushroom, that helps the body adapt to stressors without causing any kind of negative letdown effect afterwards. Your body constantly faces various stressors, whether they're physical, like intense exercise or lack of sleep, chemical, like pollution or toxins in our food, or biological, like viruses or bacteria. An adaptogen helps your body better cope with these challenges, restoring and maintaining homeostasis.
Homeostasis.
Yeah.
That's like the body's internal balance.
Exactly, your body's natural state of optimal internal stability and balance. An adaptogen doesn't force your body in one direction like a stimulant jacks you up. It gently guides it back to its natural equilibrium. It helps you find your center again. And what's fascinating is that the systematic research into adaptogens actually began, perhaps surprisingly, in the Soviet Union during the mid-20th century. The military had a very clear objective. They were looking for natural compounds that could enhance the performance and resilience of their soldiers.
For soldiers. Interesting.
Yeah, enhance performance without the severe side effects typically associated with conventional stimulants, like amphetamines or even high doses of caffeine. They wanted to boost performance without the inevitable crash and burn. A key scientist, Dr. Nikolai Lazarev, was tasked with this, and he identified 5 core compounds that he classified as true adaptogens based on strict criteria. To illustrate the difference, think of an Air Force pilot given a stimulant to stay alert during a long mission. Sure, they might get an immediate burst of alertness, but there's an inevitable, often debilitating crash afterward. Adaptogens, by contrast, offer a way to improve performance, focus, and endurance, but crucially, without that severe crash or subsequent exhaustion. It's about sustainable, balanced enhancement, not just a short-term jolt.
Okay, so sustainability and balance are key. What are those strict criteria Dr. Lazarev set out?
Right, so for a substance to be truly classified as an adaptogen, it must meet 3 very specific pillars, essentially. First, it must be non-habit forming and non-addictive. This means you can take it safely every day over the long term without developing dependence, without becoming addicted, or without building a tolerance that requires you to constantly increase your dose to get the same effect. This is a huge difference from stimulants, which often lead to escalating dosages and unpleasant withdrawal symptoms.
Okay, so safe for daily use, no addiction risk. What's the second pillar?
Second, an adaptogen must restore balance, that homeostasis we talked about. It doesn't push your body too far in one specific direction. It doesn't artificially inflate energy or suppress fatigue indefinitely. Instead, it helps your systems return to a state of equilibrium or optimal functioning. It modulates your body's responses rather than forcing them. It gently brings your body back to its natural, healthy, happy place.
Modulates, like a thermostat, adjusting things back to the right temperature.
That's a great way to put it. Yes, like a smart thermostat for your body's stress response system. And third, and this one can be a bit tricky for a purely scientific reductionist mindset, it must have a non-specific action.
Non-specific, how does that work?
Well, traditional drugs are usually designed to target one specific pathway or symptom. Think of a painkiller targeting pain receptors. Adaptogens, however, have a broader, more generalized beneficial effect. They can positively influence multiple bodily systems simultaneously, for instance, supporting both cognitive function and immune health at the same time. Think of it like the complex interplay of hormones in your body. Pulling one lever, like adjusting cortisol, can have a ripple effect, influencing many other systems, your sleep, your mood, your digestion. Adaptogens seem to work with this inherent complexity, helping the body adapt intelligently across multiple fronts.
Okay, that's clearer. So, if I'm understanding this, adaptogens are like a wise, intuitive guide for your body. They help it navigate challenges and find its happy medium, its balance, without dictating a specific outcome or forcing just one system. They empower your body's own intelligence to adapt and rebalance, rather than simply masking symptoms or overstimulating a single pathway. That's a really powerful distinction.
You've got it. That's the essence of what makes adaptogens so unique and, frankly, so useful in our modern stressful lives.
Right. So now let's talk about this modern phenomenon, this trend that seems to be everywhere, mushroom coffee. It's definitely captivating a much broader mainstream audience than ever before. What's driving this trend, do you think, and why are people actively looking for alternatives to traditional coffee?
Well, it's multifaceted, I think. There's a huge surge in interest for natural products for superfoods, and at the same time, a growing awareness of the downsides of regular coffee. Because while most people love coffee for that instant energy boost, that kickstart to the day, they often dislike what comes with it. The jitters, the feelings of anxiety, sometimes even rapid heart palpitations, and then almost inevitably that debilitating energy crash later in the day.
Yeah, that 3 p.m. slump is real.
It absolutely is.
But
Plus, coffee's high acidity can lead to uncomfortable stomach upset and acid reflux for many individuals. And fundamentally, traditional coffee acts as a powerful nervous system stimulant. This means your body can build resistance to caffeine over time, requiring you to consume higher and higher doses just to achieve the same effect you initially got. It also triggers, often undesirable, spikes in your stress hormone, cortisol, which contributes to that whole wired then tired or wired but exhausted feeling.
so it's like borrowing energy from tomorrow almost.
That's a good way to put it. You get the immediate payback, but the long-term cost can be significant in terms of adrenal fatigue and nervous system strain. You can think of regular coffee as overclocking your brain, to use a computer analogy. It gives a quick, intense burst of speed, yes, but it can make your system unstable, leading to that glitchy feeling or sudden exhaustion later on.
Okay, overclocking, I get that. So how does adding mushrooms change the equation?
This is precisely where the brilliant synergy of medicinal mushrooms comes in. They are strategically paired with coffee to effectively balance its stimulating effects. It's a really clever combination. Instead of just experiencing a raw, sometimes harsh stimulant, these mushrooms work synergistically to reduce stress and anxiety and simultaneously enhance focus and concentration in a smoother way.
So less jitter, more focus.
Exactly. And this powerful duo promises not just those immediate, more pleasant benefits, but also potential long-term advantages for things like memory, overall immunity, and even physical endurance. The result is a beverage that is much more balanced, offers smoother, more sustained energy, and is significantly better tolerated by the body, mitigating many of those harsh side effects associated with regular coffee. Here's another metaphor. If coffee is a powerful engine providing a burst of speed, the mushrooms are like a finely tuned, sophisticated shock absorber system. They make the ride incredibly smooth and sustainable. They prevent the engine from redlining, from pushing too hard, and then stalling out abruptly. This ensures a much more comfortable and productive journey without the jarring stops and starts.
That's a great visual. So for those sensitive to caffeine, or maybe just tired of that post-coffee slump, mushroom coffee offers a potentially softer, more prolonged effect, avoiding those classic stimulant side effects entirely. It sounds like a much more intelligent way to get your daily boost, potentially. And I know we're trying to avoid getting too brand specific, but a high-quality example of this blend for those looking to try it might be something like N0 which combines real coffee with specific mushrooms like lion's mane, chaga, and shiitake. And they make a point of sourcing from Finland, which is apparently known for its pristine air and water. That seems to tie into the quality aspect we'll probably discuss later.
Yes, absolutely. Sourcing and quality are paramount, and we'll definitely delve into that. But first, let's meet some of these key mushroom players.
Okay, perfect. Now that we understand the big picture, the adaptogens, the coffee synergy, let's delve into some of these amazing mushroom allies individually. Each one seems to have its own unique superpowers and specific benefits for you. What's first on our list? Who do we meet first?
Absolutely. Let's start with one of the most popular and fascinating ones. Lion's mane, its scientific name is Hericium erinaceus. This is truly the brain architect of the mushroom world, and it's incredibly popular for good reason. Its core benefits are really centered around profound cognitive enhancement. We're talking about improving memory, sharpening focus, boosting your ability to learn new things. It also offers significant neuroprotection, contributing to long-term brain health. And many users report reduced feelings of depression and an overall increase or uplift in their mood. It's a real powerhouse for the brain.
Brain architect. I like that. So how does it actually do that? What's the mechanism? Is it just another stimulant like caffeine?
Great question. And no, it's fundamentally different from caffeine.
Yeah.
This is crucial to understand. Unlike caffeine, which is essentially a temporary nervous system stimulant that your body builds resistance to, lion's mane works on a much deeper, more foundational level. It actively helps to build your brain's physical structure.
Build the structure.
It does this primarily by promoting neurogenesis, which is the incredible natural process of growing brand new nerve cells, or neurons, in your brain. It literally helps your brain create new connections. Furthermore, research suggests it helps in decreasing amyloid beta plaque buildup. These plaques are sticky protein clumps strongly associated with the development of conditions like Alzheimer's disease and general age-related memory loss. So instead of just temporarily stimulating your existing brain cells, lion's mane actually helps make your brain structurally stronger and potentially more resilient over time by supporting the generation of new nerve cells and clearing out potentially harmful debris.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just boosting what's there, it's potentially adding more building blocks. That's huge.
It is huge, and we've observed a remarkable rising impact phenomenon in some of these studies. Remember how with caffeine, the benefits often diminish over time as the body builds resistance?
Right, you need more coffee for the same effect eventually.
Exactly. But with lion's mane, studies have shown that the beneficial impact on things like cognition and mood actually increased with repeated, consistent use over several weeks. This rising impact strongly suggests that the benefits are cumulative, likely stemming from those structural changes happening in the brain, literally. More nerve cells being generated and strengthening connections.
So the longer you take it, potentially the better it works, unlike caffeine.
That's what the initial research points towards, yes. And this is incredibly crucial for everyone, but perhaps especially important after around age 30. That's typically when our natural levels of crucial brain-supporting proteins like NGF, nerve growth factor, and BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, begin to decline. This decline means our bodies naturally produce fewer new nerve cells as we age, and the total nerve cell content in our brain gradually decreases throughout life. This unfortunately increases the risk for neurodegenerative diseases like dementia, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's later on. Lion's mane, by actively stimulating nerve cell regrowth not just in the brain but also potentially in the spinal cord and even in our gut, the second brain, helps us bet against that natural decline, actively supporting brain health and plasticity as we age.
Okay, the bet against the decline idea really resonates. That makes it seem less like a temporary fix and more like a long-term investment in brain health.
Precisely. Think of lion's mane not just as a fleeting brain booster, but as a dedicated gym workout for your neurons. It's actively building new brain connections, strengthening existing ones, and you could even say it's literally upgrading your brain's random access memory, giving you potentially more capacity for memory, faster thinking, and less of that frustrating brain fog. Unlike caffeine, which is more like a temporary software update or boost, lion's mane is akin to a fundamental hardware upgrade for your brain, offering potential long-term structural benefits.
Gym for your neurons and hardware upgrade. Those are powerful metaphors. Is it just for older people then, or who's using it?
Oh, it's popular across incredibly diverse demographics. We see older adults, sometimes even Parkinson's patients in certain healthcare systems exploring its benefits, all the way to young professionals, students, creatives, even gamers in their 20s, incorporating it into drinks or routines for enhanced focus and mental clarity. Its appeal is really broad.
Okay, so practicalities. How much do you take and
Yeah.
when?
For practical dosage, If you're using tinctures, which are concentrated liquid extracts, a typical recommendation is often around 1 to maybe 2 full pipettes daily. If you're using powder or capsules, it's usually somewhere around half a gram per day. But honestly, the best advice is always check the specific product packaging for their precise recommended dose, as concentrations can vary. And crucially, remember, lion's mane is not an instant energy mushroom like cordyceps might feel. Its benefits, especially those deeper structural changes, are best realized over a consistent daily regimen, often spanning several months. It's a marathon, not a sprint, for building better brain health.
Got it. Long-term consistency is key for lion's mane. Who's up next on our mushroom tour?
Okay, next up, let's talk about reishi. Its scientific name is Ganoderma lucidum. If lion's mane is the brain architect, I like to call reishi the calm commander. Its core benefits are really centered around promoting incredibly good, deep, restful sleep and profoundly reducing feelings of anxiety and stress. It truly excels at calming a racing mind, especially before bed, allowing you to slip into genuine tranquility.
Calm Commander. Nice. We could all use a bit more calm. How does reishi achieve this? What's its mechanism?
Reishi primarily works by activating your parasympathetic nervous system. This is your body's natural rest and digest mode, the opposite of the fight-or-flight stress response governed by the sympathetic nervous system. It's remarkably effective at quieting those persistent looping thoughts that often keep you awake when your head hits the pillow. It helps you achieve a state of mental peace before you try to fall asleep, making the transition much smoother. It does this, interestingly, by interacting with over 50 different neurological pathways specifically geared towards supporting relaxation and good sleep. It's quite sophisticated.
50 pathways. Wow. Does it work quickly, or is it like lion's mane, needing time?
Actually, reishi is often described as being quite fast-acting, especially for sleep. Many users, particularly those who track their sleep with wearable devices like an Oura Ring or an Apple Watch, can observe a significant improvement in their sleep metrics. Sometimes they report an increase of up to 50% in their deep sleep duration. That's the crucial non-REM stage 3 sleep, vital for physical restoration, often even after just one night of use.
50% increase in deep sleep, that's huge.
It can be really significant for people struggling with sleep quality. It helps you get more of that truly restorative phase.
Okay, give me a metaphor for reishi. If lion's mane is the gym, what's reishi?
Okay, metaphors. Think of reishi like a wise, gentle librarian for your mind. It meticulously goes around quieting all the noisy, disorganized thoughts, shushing the internal chatter so you can peacefully rest. Or maybe imagine it as your personal chill button. You press it, and it helps your nervous system gently de-escalate, unwind, and find its calm center.
The chill button, I like that one too. So who is this best for, and when should you take it?
It's excellent for anyone experiencing sleep discomfort, whether it's trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, or just not feeling rested upon waking. It's also great for individuals dealing with high levels of daily stress or anxiety. You can take it right before going to bed, maybe 30-60 minutes beforehand, specifically for sleep support. Or, interestingly, some people take smaller doses during the day whenever they need a sense of calm to manage acute stress without it necessarily making them drowsy.
And it's safe, doesn't make you feel weird or groggy.
Generally, reishi is considered very safe and well tolerated. It doesn't typically mess with your brain in an intrusive way or leave you feeling groggy the next morning like some sleep aids can. It also contains a really rich profile of beneficial compounds, including specific types called ganodermic acids, and various triterpene scientists have identified at least 130 different potentially active compounds in reishi, contributing to its wide-ranging calming and health-supportive effects.
And dosage?
For dosage, with tinctures, often around 4 to 5 drops, is cited as effective for sleep support. But again, concentrations vary wildly, so always check the specific product packaging for their recommended dose. Some people even keep it by their bedside to take if they wake up during the night and can't get back to sleep easily.
Good tip. All right, Calm Commander reishi, check. Who's next?
Okay, moving on to Chaga. Inodotus obliquus. This one is often called the immune shield and longevity ally. Its core benefit, and what it's most famous for, is being one of the most antioxidant-rich superfoods on Earth. Seriously, its antioxidant capacity is off the charts. This translates into powerful immune defense, effectively reducing oxidative stress that's damage caused by unstable molecules called free radicals, and it acts as a natural vitality booster. It's been used traditionally for centuries, especially in Siberia and Northern Europe, for promoting general well-being and longevity.
Immune shield. Antioxidant powerhouse. Okay.
Oh.
How does it pack such a punch? What's inside?
Its primary mechanism of action lies in that incredible antioxidant power. Chaga is absolutely packed with a wide array of different antioxidants. One fascinating one is melanin. Yes, the same pigment that protects our skin from the sun's harmful UV rays. Chaga produces high amounts of melanin in its dark, crusty outer layer, which likely helps protect it from harsh environmental conditions as it grows on birch trees for decades. It also contains beneficial compounds it actually derives from the birch trees it grows on, such as betulin and betulinic acid. Chaga essentially eats or absorbs these compounds from the birch bark and then cleverly transforms them into a more bioavailable form that our human bodies can utilize.
So it's like it pre-digests nutrients from the tree for us.
In a sense, yes. It concentrates and transforms them. These antioxidants, collectively, act like a robust defensive barrier for our cells, constantly combating that free radical damage which contributes to aging, inflammation, and various diseases. They help protect you from environmental stressors like pollution, radiation, and just the general wear and tear of daily life.
Okay, metaphor time for chaga, the immune shield.
Think of chaga as your body's personal defensive shield, constantly deflecting incoming attacks. Or maybe imagine it as a sophisticated built-in firewall for your cells, protecting your system from malware, those damaging free radicals, helping you avoid cellular crashes or burnout, and slowing down the aging process at a cellular level.
Defensive shield, firewall.
Yeah.
Got it. Now, I remember hearing something about chaga and sustainability issues.
Yes, that's a critical point. Due to its surging popularity, wild chaga is being over-harvested in many areas, which is obviously not sustainable and threatens the ecosystem. This is why it's so important to source chaga from companies that are actively involved in responsible cultivation. There are leaders in the field, like the Finnish company Kappa Mushroom, for instance, who are pioneering methods to sustainably cultivate chaga by carefully implanting it into living birch trees in managed forests. This ensures a consistent, high-quality supply without depleting wild populations.
And you mentioned Finland specifically. Why is that important for chaga?
Right, the sourcing location for chaga is absolutely paramount, maybe more so than for other mushrooms. Finland offers a uniquely pristine environment. As we touched on, it consistently boasts the cleanest air and water ever measured globally. That's not an exaggeration, it's based on WHO data. Furthermore, an astonishing 60% of all organically certified forests in the entire world are located in Finland. This naturally pure setting dramatically minimizes any risk of the chaga absorbing contaminants like heavy metals or pesticides as it grows, ensuring a truly clean, potent, and high-quality end product. You really want your chaga coming from a clean environment because it's such a good bioaccumulator.
Okay, clean source is vital. Now, is there anything we need to be cautious about with chaga? Any warnings?
Yes, absolutely. A very important safety caution. Chaga is known to be a natural blood thinner. It contains compounds that can affect blood clotting. This is absolutely vital information for listeners who are currently taking prescription blood-thinning medication, like warfarin or similar drugs, or for those who have pre-existing bleeding disorders or certain heart conditions. We strongly advise consulting a healthcare professional before incorporating chaga into your routine, as it could potentially exacerbate these conditions or dangerously interact with medication. While natural blood thinning can be beneficial for some, it's all about finding the right balance and avoiding risky interactions.
Okay, that's a really crucial warning. Consult your doctor if you're on blood thinners or have heart issues before trying chaga. Understood. Anything else about the chaga experience?
Just that beyond the specific immune and antioxidant benefits, many people report chaga gives them a subtle but noticeable feeling of overall well-being, a kind of grounded vitality. It's often described as just generating a general good feeling every time I take it.
Interesting. Okay, chaga the immune shield, noted with caution. Who is mushroom number 4?
All right, our fourth super mushroom is Shiitake, Lentinula edodes. Many people know Shiitake is a delicious culinary mushroom, right? But it's also a powerhouse functionally. Let's call it the gut and immune optimizer. Its core benefits include really potent immune-boosting properties, actively supporting your body's natural defenses, and helping to reduce chronic inflammation throughout the body. It also has a known beneficial impact on gut health, and yes, it serves as a delightful natural flavor enhancer, that savory umami taste.
Gut and immune optimizer. Okay, so how does it optimize the immune system? Is it different from chaga?
Yes, it works through different, though sometimes complementary, mechanisms. The primary mechanism of action for Shiitake, and indeed for many functional mushrooms, lies in their rich content of complex carbohydrates, called beta-glucans. These aren't just simple sugars, they are crucial structural components of the mushroom's cell walls. Shiitake happens to be particularly abundant in these beneficial beta-glucans. Now, what makes fungal beta-glucans really special, compared to, say, beta-glucans from oats or algae, is their unique and complex 1,3,1,6 branching structure. This specific molecular shape seems to be key to how effectively they interact with our immune system.
Okay, so the shape matters. How do these beta-glucans work once we consume them?
It's quite elegant, actually. These complex beta-glucan molecules, because they're indigestible by our own enzymes, pass through the stomach and small intestine largely intact. Then, in the lower part of the small intestine and potentially in the gut lymphoid tissue, they interact directly with specialized receptors on key immune cells. We're talking about cells like macrophages. Think of them as the Pac-Man of the immune system, engulfing debris and pathogens and natural killer T cells, which target infected or cancerous cells, and also influencing signaling molecules called cytokines, which orchestrate the overall immune response. This interaction essentially helps to modulate and train your immune system.
Modulate and train, so it makes it smarter, not just stronger.
Exactly. It's not just about cranking the immune system up to high gear all the time, which can lead to issues like autoimmunity. It seems to help the immune system respond more appropriately, enhancing the response when needed to fight off an infection, but potentially calming it down if it's overactive, as in chronic inflammation or allergies. It helps create a more balanced and intelligent immune response.
Wow.
Shiitake also contains another really interesting and powerful compound called L-ergothioneine. Some sources might spell it slightly differently, but it's this unique amino acid derivative. This compound has a fascinating suggested antiviral property. The idea is that it helps to limit the ability of certain viruses to replicate efficiently by essentially limiting their ease of access into your host cells.
Okay, how does it limit access?
The metaphor I like is thinking of L-ergothioneine as putting a really robust wooden bar across your front door to protect your house. It doesn't necessarily kill the intruder outside, but it makes it significantly harder for them to break in and cause trouble inside. It strengthens cellular defenses against viral entry.
Nice. Wooden bar on the door. Got it. So, summing up Shiitake.
So Shiitake is like a personal trainer for your immune system, making it stronger, smarter, and more resilient. And it acts as a friendly gut booster, potentially improving the microbiome environment, all in one delicious package. And as far as we know, there's no indication that Shiitake or Chaga would negatively offset each other, so they can generally be safely taken together.
Great. Immune trainer and gut booster.
Yeah.
Okay, we have one more major player to discuss, right?
Yes, last but certainly not least, we have Cordyceps, primarily the species Cordyceps militaris that's most common in supplements today. Let's call this one the energy sustainer and performance enhancer. Its core benefits are really quite remarkable and often noticeable. It's known for naturally increasing ATP, adenosine triphosphate production, directly within your cells. ATP is the fundamental energy currency molecule that powers literally every single cellular process in your body, from muscle contraction to nerve impulses.
So it boosts energy right at the source, in the cells.
Exactly, right where it's made. This translates into boosted sustained energy levels, significantly improved physical endurance, enhanced athletic performance, including measured increases in VO2 max, which is a key indicator of how efficiently your body utilizes oxygen during exercise, and it cultivates an overall sense of vigor, all while often reducing the perceived effort during physical activity. Things just feel a bit easier.
Less perceived effort. That sounds good for workouts. How does it manage all that?
Cordyceps works through several key mechanisms. Beyond directly impacting ATP production, it also acts as a vasodilator. This means it helps gently widen your blood vessels. Wider blood vessels allow for improved blood flow and better oxygen delivery to your muscles and tissues, including the brain, making everything work more efficiently and delaying fatigue. It also seems to subtly influence the central nervous system, reducing the need for an excessive release of stress hormones like adrenaline during intense physical or mental efforts. This leads to smoother, more sustained energy without that edgy, overstimulated feeling.
Interesting. Are there specific compounds doing this?
Yes, the key bioactive compounds thought to be responsible for many of these effects include cordycepin and related molecules called adenosines. They're part of a whole family of beneficial compounds found in Cordyceps. Now, it's important to distinguish between the two main Cordyceps species you might see mentioned. Cordyceps militaris is the one most commonly cultivated and used in high-quality supplements today. It's generally preferred because it has stronger scientific evidence supporting its health effects, and importantly, it has novel food-approved status in places like Europe, meaning it has undergone rigorous safety assessments. The other species, Cordyceps sinensis, is the original wild caterpillar parasitizing fungus famous in traditional Chinese medicine. While historically revered, it's incredibly rare and expensive, and frankly, modern scientific studies have shown less compelling support for significant health benefits from the cultivated versions often sold under this name compared to militaris.
Okay, so look for Cordyceps militaris generally. Now, is there a catch? any warnings for cordyceps?
Yes, absolutely. This is a critical piece of information and a very important caution, perhaps the most important timing consideration for any of these mushrooms. Cordyceps actively suppresses melatonin production.
Melatonin, the sleep hormone, it
Yeah,
suppresses it.
yes, exactly. Melatonin is your body's natural sleep hormone, crucial for regulating your sleep-wake cycle. Cordyceps interferes with its production. Therefore, it is absolutely crucial to take cordyceps only in the morning or well before a workout, ideally at least 10 hours before you plan to go to sleep. Taking it too late in the day can significantly disrupt your natural sleep cycle, making it hard to fall asleep or stay asleep.
10 hours, that's a long window.
It is, and it's important to respect it. I can personally attest. I once took it later in the afternoon before a presentation, thinking I needed the energy boost, and I had a terrible night's sleep. Very vivid dreams, couldn't switch off. It wasn't just the energy, it was definitely impacting my sleep cycle. It seems to directly impact the body's internal clock, and it also blocks adenosine receptors in the brain, similar to how caffeine works, which further promotes wakefulness.
Wow, okay, that's a vital warning. Morning only for cordyceps, so the metaphor.
Think of cordyceps as a natural, long-lasting energy battery, charging your cells directly from the source without the typical stimulant crash associated with caffeine or sugar. However, and this is key, you absolutely need to remember to plug that battery in at the right time of day, always in the morning, never close to bedtime.
Energy battery, plug in early. Got it. Who uses this?
It's very popular with athletes. Obviously, the Finnish Olympic team famously used it back in the day. But it's also excellent for anyone seeking sustained energy throughout the day without jitters or that post-exertion fatigue after a demanding task. It can even be a helpful tool for combating jet lag when taken in the morning upon arrival to help reset your body clock and get things started.
And dosage for this energy battery.
For tinctures, a typical dosage is often quite small, maybe just 2 drops, as it can be quite potent. But as always, follow the product's specific recommendations. And fascinatingly, some research suggests certain compounds from Cordyceps militaris can actually cross the blood-brain barrier, and scientists are actively exploring their specific actions within the brain, including how exactly they impact that melatonin production.
Okay, that completes our tour of the big 5 super mushrooms. Amazing stuff. But we've explored these incredible potential benefits, and you hinted at this earlier. Here's where it becomes critically important for you as a listener wanting to try these. How do you ensure you're actually getting the real deal amidst what can honestly feel like the Wild West of the supplement market?
That's a vital question, probably the most important practical consideration. And the truth, unfortunately, is quite startling. Independent research and testing have indicated that a significant percentage of mushroom supplements on the market today, with some studies suggesting figures as high as 75%, contain little to no actual medicinal mushroom compounds.
75%. That's appalling. So what are they selling?
Well, many are effectively counterfeits or just of alarmingly low quality. They might contain mostly cheap fillers like grain starch, undeclared ingredients, or simply use inferior parts of the mushroom or poor extraction methods, resulting in a product that lacks potency. And a crucial distinction you need to understand here is the difference between the fruiting body and mycelium grown on grain. The fruiting body, as we discussed, is the visible mature mushroom, the cap and stem, which is the part traditionally used and generally contains the highest concentration of the desired bioactive compounds we've been talking about. Mycelium is that root-like network. Now, a common and frankly deceptive practice, particularly prevalent in some regions like the U.S. due to legal loopholes, involves growing the mushroom mycelium on a substrate of cheap carbohydrate grains like rice or oats. They then grind the whole thing up mycelium and the grain it was grown on and sell it as a mushroom product.
Wait, so you're buying ground up grain with maybe some mushroom roots mixed in?
Essentially, yes. While harvesting mycelium this way is cheaper and faster, the resulting mycelium on grain product is almost always far inferior in terms of its medicinal efficacy compared to products made purely from the fruiting body. It's diluted, and the profile of active compounds is different and often much lower. Using our earlier analogy, it's akin to selling the roots and the dirt they grew in and claiming it's as potent as the fruit. It's simply not the same thing. You're often getting a very weak extract, heavily diluted by the grain filler.
That feels really misleading for consumers.
It can be very misleading. Beyond just potency issues, there are also significant contamination concerns you need to be aware of. Fungi are nature's ultimate decomposers. They perform this amazing process called mycoremediation. They have an incredible ability to absorb and break down various substances from their environment. This includes not just nutrients, but also potentially harmful contaminants like plastics, strange chemical compounds, pesticides, heavy metals like lead, mercury, cadmium, and even radioactive material. While this absorption ability is powerful for environmental cleanup, fungi help clean up forests after the Chernobyl disaster. For instance, it presents a significant danger if the mushrooms are grown in a contaminated environment for human consumption.
So they soak up the bad stuff just as easily as the good stuff.
Exactly. They are bioaccumulators. For example, a seemingly sustainable practice might involve using leftover wood chips from industrial sawmills as a growing substrate. But these wood chips can often be contaminated with petrol oils, lubricants, heavy metals from machinery, or wood treatments. The mushrooms, doing their job, will then pull these harmful substances directly into their fruiting bodies, which you would then consume. And considering that a vast majority, some estimates say around 98% of the world's mushrooms are grown in certain regions, particularly in China, where unfortunately air and water quality often face significant challenges, the risk of heavy metal contamination and other pollution finding its way into the final mushroom product is quite high if sourcing isn't carefully managed and tested.
Okay, so low potency for mycelium on grain and potential contamination from the growing environment. This sounds risky. How do we navigate this?
This is precisely where sourcing location becomes absolutely critical. Countries like Finland, as we mentioned, offer a unique and highly advantageous environment. Why? Because Finland consistently boasts the cleanest air and water ever measured globally, and it's home to 60% of all organically certified forests in the world. This pristine natural environment provides an unparalleled, naturally pure setting for mushrooms like chaga, reishi, and lion's mane to grow, drastically minimizing any risk of contamination from heavy metals or pesticides. Sourcing from such clean environments provides a strong foundation for a high-quality, safe product.
Right, the clean source is foundational. But even with the clean source, how do we verify the potency, the actual good stuff is in there?
That brings us to the final and arguably most important pillar: rigorous testing and unwavering transparency. It's simply not enough for a company to vaguely claim their product has beta-glucans or is potent. That's marketing speak. High-quality, trustworthy companies should be testing for and transparently sharing the levels of the specific bioactive compounds known to be responsible for each mushroom's unique benefits. We need specifics.
Like the ones you mentioned earlier.
Exactly. For instance, for lion's mane, you should look for testing that quantifies hericenones and erinacines. These are the compounds linked to its nerve growth factor stimulating effects. For cordyceps, look for levels of cordycembin and adenosines. For reishi, you want to see analysis of its triterpene profile, including specific lucidonic acids, which are linked to its calming and sleep-supportive effects. For chaga, antioxidant markers and perhaps betulinic acid. For shiitake, specific beta-glucan structures and maybe L-ergothioneine. Leading companies in this space partner with independent third-party university laboratories to develop and utilize precise assays. These are highly specialized, validated tests specifically designed to measure these key bioactives accurately. This allows them to guarantee consistently high levels of these beneficial compounds in their final products, batch after batch.
So they're not just testing if it's mushroom, but how much of the active ingredient is present.
Precisely. And this focus on quality, driven by ensuring genuine efficacy for the consumer, rather than just, say, benchmarking against potentially mediocre competitors, can lead to products with significantly higher concentrations sometimes, as we found when developing our own testing, literally thousands of times higher in certain key compounds compared to other brands on the market.
That's incredible. Thousands of times higher. It really highlights the difference quality makes. So the takeaway for the listener is huge here. It really places the responsibility, but also the power directly into your hands as the listener, doesn't it? It emphasizes your crucial role in educating yourself, asking the right questions, looking beyond the marketing hype, and choosing ethically sourced, rigorously tested, and genuinely high-quality products. It's about being an informed participant in your own health journey, not just a passive consumer. So for those listeners who are now intrigued, feeling informed, and maybe ready to dip their toes in, where do you even begin to incorporate these functional mushrooms into your daily routine practically?
That's a great question. And honestly, the best way to start is often the most convenient and enjoyable way for you personally, so you'll actually stick with it. There are several easy options. One popular route is tinctures. These are highly concentrated liquid extracts, usually taken with a dropper. They're potent and absorb relatively quickly. For example, as we discussed, you might take 1 to 2 pipettes of lion's mane tincture daily, maybe dropped into your morning tea, water, or even directly under the tongue.
Okay, tinctures are one way. What else?
Another very common format is powders. You can get individual mushroom powders or blends. These are super versatile. You can easily mix them directly into your classic coffee, creating your own mushroom coffee blend. This allows you to adjust the quantity based on your needs and taste preferences. Some powders even come pre-mixed with spices like cinnamon or cocoa. You can also add powders to smoothies, oatmeal, yogurt, or even soups and broths, although heat might affect some compounds over long cooking times, so adding towards the end is often better.
Right, powders seem flexible. Any other options?
Definitely. You can make infusions or lattes, which are excellent caffeine-free alternatives. You simply whisk mushroom powders into hot water or warm plant-based milk. You can enhance these with other beneficial ingredients, like cocoa powder for a mocha vibe, turmeric for anti-inflammatory benefits, or spices for flavor, creating a warm, comforting, and beneficial drink, especially nice in the evening with something like Reishi. And of course, there are the convenient pre-blended mushroom coffee options, like the N0 Glitch product we mentioned earlier. These are often instant powders containing both coffee and specific mushroom extracts. You simply add hot or cold water, stir, and it's ready to go. Super easy for busy mornings.
Lots of options then. And can you flavor these? Some mushroom things can taste a bit earthy.
Absolutely. Customization is key to enjoyment. Don't hesitate to experiment. You can add natural sweeteners like honey, maple syrup, or stevia if you like. Different plant milks, oat, almond, soy, coconut can create lovely creamy textures. And warming spices like cinnamon, cardamom, nutmeg, or ginger not only add flavor but often bring their own health benefits too. A super simple homemade mushroom coffee recipe to try could be: take 1 teaspoon of your favorite regular coffee grounds or instant coffee, add about half a teaspoon of your chosen mushroom powder blend, pour over maybe 200 milliliters, about 7 ounces of hot water, stir well, and then add a splash of plant milk, a dash of cinnamon, and maybe a drop of sweetener if you like. Easy peasy.
That sounds totally doable. Now let's quickly reiterate the timing and dosage points, because those seemed really important, especially for Cordyceps and Reishi.
Yes, crucial reminders. Pay close attention to this specific mushroom. Reishi is generally best taken in the evening, about 30-60 minutes before bed, to support deep sleep. Cordyceps, because it suppresses melatonin, is strictly for the morning or well before a workout. Remember that 10-hour minimum window before sleep. Lion's mane and chaga and shiitake are generally more flexible and can often be taken any time of day, though many prefer lion's mane in the morning for focus. Regarding dosage, it varies significantly between products, mushroom types, and extraction potencies. Always, always read the product package carefully and follow their specific recommended dose. And remember, tinctures are highly concentrated, so even a couple of drops, as recommended on the label, can be powerfully effective. Don't assume more is always better.
Good point. Start low, follow instructions. What about taking them long term? Should you take breaks?
That's a really good question. While adaptogens are generally considered safe for daily long-term use, I personally think it's always a good practice to take periodic breaks from almost any supplement. It serves 2 purposes. First, it gives your body a chance to reset. Second, it allows you to really assess if you're still feeling the benefits. Sometimes we adapt to feeling better and forget what it was like before. For something like lion's mane, you might try taking a 1-week break every couple of months and just notice how's your focus, your memory, your mood. It helps you gauge its ongoing effectiveness for you.
That makes sense, a little self-assessment. What about mixing mushrooms? Is variety good?
Yes, absolutely. Just like with your diet, where eating a wide variety of different colorful fruits and vegetables is much better than just eating broccoli every single day, incorporating variety with your functional mushrooms is likely beneficial. Each mushroom brings a slightly different profile of compounds and interacts with your body in unique ways, so rotating different mushrooms or using well-formulated blends can provide a broader spectrum of benefits and intelligence, so to speak, feeding your cells and potentially your DNA with diverse information from nature. The more variety you have, generally, the more resilient and well-supported your overall system becomes.
Okay, breaks and variety. Good tips. Now let's hammer home those crucial safety considerations one last time. Who absolutely needs to be cautious?
Right, let's be crystal clear on safety, speaking with confidence based on known interactions and general best practice. First, the chaga and blood thinning interaction. If you are currently taking prescription blood thinning medication, like warfarin, Eliquis, Xarelto, etc., or if you have a known bleeding disorder or certain pre-existing heart conditions, it is absolutely essential that you consult your doctor or healthcare provider before incorporating chaga. Do not just add it in. It could potentially exacerbate your condition or lead to dangerous interactions with your medication.
Okay, chaga, blood thinner, warning. Check doctor first. What else?
Second, a general but very important blanket recommendation. If you are pregnant, nursing, have any pre-existing medical condition like autoimmune diseases, liver issues, kidney problems, etc., or if you are currently taking any regular medications, prescription or over-the-counter, we strongly recommend consulting your doctor or a knowledgeable healthcare provider before consuming any potent, functional mushroom product. Mushrooms contain powerful bioactive compounds that can interact with medications or affect certain health conditions. Better safe than sorry.
Pregnant, nursing, medical conditions, medications. Check with doctor. Got it.
And third, for absolute clarity and safety, especially regarding products that might contain caffeine alongside potent mushroom extracts. Products like N0 Glitch and similar stimulating blends are not intended for children. Their developing systems respond differently, and the combination of caffeine and potent bioactives isn't appropriate for them.
Okay, not for children. Excellent. Those warnings are super important. Thank you for clarifying them so directly.
My pleasure. Safety first, always.
So, this deep dive has shown us so much. It's clear this isn't just about understanding individual products or ingredients. It seems to be about connecting with a bigger vision for health, for our own bodies, and maybe even for our relationship with nature and the planet. So thinking bigger picture, what drives a company that chooses to bring these ancient remedies to the modern market responsibly? What's the philosophy?
That's a wonderful question, and it really gets to the heart of why some of us do this work. For leading companies in this space, particularly those founded with a strong ethical compass, like Kappa, a core philosophical commitment is usually to solve problems without inadvertently creating new ones. That sounds simple, but it's actually quite profound in practice. This means focusing not just on sustainability, which often just means maintaining the status quo, but on truly regenerative practices, practices that actively heal and improve the environment, going beyond just minimizing harm.
Regenerative.
Yeah.
How does that work in the context of mushrooms?
Well, for instance, by carefully managing forest ecosystems where mushrooms like chaga are cultivated, or by designing growing facilities with closed-loop systems and renewable energy, some companies can actually become carbon positive. This means their operations sequester more carbon from the atmosphere than they produce through their activities. So theoretically, every product you purchase from such a company could be actively contributing to sequestering more carbon, making a net positive impact on the planet's carbon levels, however small. It's about building ecological health directly into the business model. This often involves a commitment to vertical integration, controlling the entire process from growing the mushrooms to processing them to extracting the compounds and final production. This deep control ensures not only the highest quality and traceability, but also enables the company to uphold its ecological values and commitments throughout the entire supply chain.
Carbon positive through mushrooms.
That's a fascinating concept. It reframes consumption as potentially restorative. That's the goal. It's about aligning business with planetary health. And this often extends to the company culture, too. Building a company around something as unique as fungi presents challenges. Finding expert talent in such a niche field is hard. So the philosophy becomes, we grow people, not just mushrooms. Investing heavily in educating and training employees, fostering a deep sense of trust, community, and shared mission leads to high retention and a team that genuinely cares about the quality and the impact of their work. This connects deeply, I find, with certain cultural values, like the Finnish concept of Sishu resilience, forged through challenges combined with a strong community spirit and a profound, almost innate connection with nature.
Growing people, regenerative practices, it paints a picture of a business trying to be part of the solution ecologically and socially.
That's the aspiration, yes. It stems from recognizing the interconnectedness of everything. Modern reductionist science often compartmentalizes things, studying one organ or one molecule in isolation. But nature and our bodies don't work that way. Everything is linked. Think about our own gut microbiome, that vast ecosystem of bacteria, fungi, viruses, and other microbes living within us. It's now considered by some scientists to be our largest organ by weight, and its health profoundly influences everything from our digestion and immunity to our mood and even our brain function. It's a perfect example of a complex, interconnected ecosystem within us.
Right, the gut-brain axis is a huge topic now.
Exactly. And this leads to a perhaps counterintuitive idea about health, the dirty truth about optimal health. Our modern obsession with sterility, bleaching every surface, using hand sanitizer constantly, living in sealed urban environments, might actually be weakening us. Humans evolved over millennia in dirty environments, constantly interacting with a rich diversity of microbes in soil, water, and food. Our immune systems co-evolved with this microbial exposure. They needed to learn, calibrate, and function properly.
So being too clean is bad for immunity.
There's growing evidence suggesting yes. Overly sterile living can stress our immune systems by depriving them of the necessary training data they evolved to expect. A compelling example is the Helsinki daycare study. Researchers simply brought forest floor soil and diverse plant life into urban daycare centers. The result? The children exposed to this richer microbial environment showed significantly increased microbiological diversity on their skin and in their guts, along with positive changes in their immune markers, suggesting improved immunity compared to kids in standard sterile daycares.
Wow, just adding dirt helped train their immune systems.
It seems so. This ties into the concept of hormetic stressors, or hormesis. This is the idea that small, controlled doses of things that might be harmful in large amounts can actually be beneficial, challenging the body in a way that makes it stronger and more resilient. Think about it. Certain spices that are slightly irritating, specific plant compounds that are mildly toxic, like those in cruciferous vegetables, brief exposure to intense cold, like an ice bath, heat stress, like a sauna, or short bursts of intense exercise. These all act as hormetic stressors. They trigger adaptive responses of the body, strengthening cellular defenses, improving stress resilience, and potentially promoting longevity. It's about the benefit of getting healthy exposure to things that, in excess, might be dangerous.
So it's like stressing a muscle to make it grow stronger, applying that to the immune system and other bodily systems through mild, natural challenges.
Precisely. Our bodies evolved in a very specific, non-sterile, somewhat challenging context. And to truly thrive, we need to actively try to recreate elements of that ancestral context as much as humanly possible in our modern lives, whether that's through diet, lifestyle, or even, arguably, through consuming complex natural compounds like those found in functional mushrooms. Another, perhaps more provocative example is the hygiene hypothesis and the role of things like historical parasite exposure. Some researchers theorize that the absence of certain gut worms, like hookworms, which co-evolved with humans and may have played a role in modulating our immune responses, might be contributing to the dramatic rise in autoimmune diseases we see today in highly sanitized Western societies. It highlights how profoundly interconnected we are with our environment, even the icky parts.
That's a mind-bending thought. Our relationship with microbes and even parasites shaped our very biology.
Okay, so looking ahead then, what's the future hold for fungi? Where is this all heading? Oh, the future is incredibly exciting. We are truly just scratching the surface. Remember, scientists estimate there are millions of fungal species on Earth. Yet, we've only really categorized and studied the medicinal compounds of maybe 40 or 50 of them in any depth. So the potential for discovering new compounds, new benefits, new species is immense. This is all the beginning, only the beginning, as one pioneer in the field likes to say.
So there could be mushrooms out there even better than lion's mane for cognition or reishi for sleep.
It's entirely possible. We might discover species with completely different mechanisms of action, offering benefits we haven't even conceived of yet. I also predict we'll see the rise of more sophisticated synergistic mushroom stacks, carefully formulated combinations designed to target specific health goals by leveraging the complementary effects of different mushrooms. The main challenge, honestly, isn't the lack of potential in nature. It's often navigating the complex, sometimes outdated regulatory hurdles.
Regulatory hurdles, like what?
Well, in places like the European Union, you have the novel food regulations, which basically require any food ingredient not widely consumed before May 1997 to undergo a lengthy and incredibly expensive approval process, even if it has centuries of traditional use elsewhere or strong scientific backing. This applies to many functional mushroom extracts. Additionally, there are often strict restrictions on using terms like medicinal mushroom or making specific health claims, even if those claims are supported by solid scientific evidence. These regulations, while intended to protect consumers, can unfortunately stifle innovation and prevent companies from clearly communicating the proven benefits of their products. It often forces companies down the route of multi-million-dollar pharmaceutical-style clinical trials just to make relatively basic health claims about a natural product.
That sounds frustrating. So given all this, the potential, the pitfalls, the regulations, what's the final takeaway for the listener trying to make sense of it all?
The final takeaway is empowerment through knowledge. As a consumer, we always need to do a little bit of our homework. Don't just blindly trust marketing claims. Ask critical questions. Verify the compounds. Does the product label clearly state the specific bioactive compounds, like hericenones, cordyceps, triterpenes, and their concentration levels, backed by testing? Or is it just vague claims? Look for clinical trials. Has the company invested in third-party human clinical trials on their actual product to demonstrate its effectiveness? Or are they just referencing general mushroom research? Understand the extraction. What extraction method are they using? Is it appropriate for the mushroom, e.g. dual extraction for reishi and chaga, to get both water-soluble and non-water-soluble compounds? Is it designed for maximum bioavailability? Scrutinize the source. Where do the mushrooms actually come from? Are they grown on grain, or are they pure fruiting bodies? Are they sourced from pristine environments like Finland, or from areas with potential contamination risks?
Homework is essential then. Check
Mhm.
compounds, trials, extraction source. That's a great checklist.
It really is. And personally, reflecting on this journey, the most rewarding part hasn't just been about the science or the business growth. It's been the personal growth, maturing as a leader, as a partner, as a parent, through the challenges of building something meaningful, and knowing that the work contributes positively, creating good jobs, genuinely helping people improve their health and well-being, and doing it in a way that aims to be regenerative, contributing to a more beautiful world, as Charles Eisenstein might say. That's deeply fulfilling. My final thought, perhaps, is a simple reminder. You have one life. Pursue what you love, what brings you joy and meaning. Take care of your health, your physical, mental, and spiritual well-being, because it's the foundation for everything else. And strive to live a beautiful, fulfilling life, recognizing that it's often a slow, steady, intentional journey, not an overnight transformation.
That's a beautiful sentiment to end on. Thank you. So let's recap this incredible deep dive. We've journeyed from the hidden world of mycelium beneath our feet to the surprising biological kinship between humans and fungi. We've unpacked the balancing power of adaptogens, demystified the synergy of mushroom coffee, and met powerhouse mushrooms like lion's mane, reishi, chaga, shiitake, and cordyceps. And critically, we've underscored the absolute importance of quality, sourcing, extraction, and testing and navigating this space. Now for that final provocative thought to leave you, our listener, mulling over.
Okay, here's something to ponder. We've talked about how mushrooms demonstrate measurable intelligence, solving mazes, designing efficient networks, mirroring human transportation systems. We know fungi live symbiotically with bacteria everywhere, including, crucially, within our own gut microbiome. So what if? What if the collective intelligence residing within our own gut microbiome, that vast ancient ecosystem intricately linked with the fungal kingdom both inside and outside us, holds knowledge, memory, perhaps even forms of consciousness, far greater than what our human brains currently comprehend? What if our gut feelings are whispers from this ancient intelligence? And taking it a step further, science currently recognizes 6 kingdoms of life. What if the next great biological discovery isn't out there in space, but right here, in the complex symbiotic collaboration between bacteria and fungi? What if we uncover evidence for a potential 7th kingdom of life, fundamentally reshaping our understanding of biology, intelligence, and our place within the intricate web of life on Earth?
A 7th kingdom. Wow. That's a powerful vision of our interconnectedness and the mysteries still waiting to be discovered. So armed with this newfound knowledge, we encourage you, the listener, to continue your own personal deep dives into knowledge. Perhaps explore the world of functional mushrooms further. Maybe embrace a more connected, perhaps slightly dirtier lifestyle with nature, or simply remain curious about the unseen forces shaping our world and our health. Reflect on how nurturing your own internal ecosystem connects you profoundly to the vast, intelligent fungal kingdom all around us. Thank you so much for sharing your incredible insights today. This has been truly fascinating.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for the great conversation.
And thank you, our listeners, for joining us on this journey into the fascinating world of adaptogenic mushrooms. We look forward to the next deep dive with you.